Here's the Truetone Western Auto battery-powered tube-type radio. I've had this for several years, but I just never got around to working on it. There's the cabinet. This will actually be the first battery-powered radio, tube-type radio, that I will have worked on. I got 10 9-volt batteries at Radio Shack. They're having a battery sale, and I got the battery clips too. So I'll put those in series to supply the 90 volts DC, and then I'll also put in one D cell to supply the filament voltage. But this has got bad rubber covered wiring. You can see here that it's just so brittle. It just falls apart. And the wiring even goes up into the IF cans too, so we'll have to put completely new wire for just about all the wires in this radio. Let's see if it'll focus here. This kind of cloth covered wiring usually is still good even after 70 or 80 years, although if it's on something that goes to an external device, I usually put heat shrink tubing on it because it's subject to being moved. But I think overall it still stays pretty good, and if it's used inside a radio, I just leave it be because there's not really much degradation of it that would cause a short. But this wiring is really bad. It must have been when they first started to come out with rubber covered wire, and it's just straight rubber, which really degrades. So I'm going to need to replace all that wiring along with the caps. Here's the top view. I used some Goo Gone on the top of this to help just clean off some of the oxidation and dirt. But here's a grid cap lead to a tube, and you can see that this wire is just falling apart. So to rewire it, I'm going to use this cloth covered wire. It's pretty expensive, but it's the best thing I've ever found for rewiring or adding wire to any kind of electronic devices. And you can just push back the insulation. It's kind of hard to do it one-handed, but you don't need to strip it. You just push it back like that. And it's got an internal Teflon braid, I think, along with an external cloth coating, so it's got good insulation that will probably never degrade. Even after 80 years or so, or 70 years, this is still good. And this is even better because I think it's got better, more high-tech insulation on the inside. And luckily these are the old type of IF cans that don't tend to have bad mica caps in them. What we're going to have to do is to take the shell off the IF can and then remove it from the chassis, and we'll run heat shrink tubing on the wires. We'll cover the old wires with heat shrink tubing because they've got rubber wiring running into the IF cans. So there's the before repairs view. So what I'm going to start doing is just doing all the rewiring. And someone looks like they tried to use medical tape or something on this one to try to help insulate it, but you can see it's coming apart there. So there's the Truetone radio before repairs.